All right, 6:30, Friday, June 19th. We are back for another ECI Focus meeting on Fridays. A lot to talk about today. So thanks everybody for joining us. We got about 70 people on a call currently and counting, so it's good. This week we thought it's actually Beth Schiller's suggestion to talk about kind of heat stress and the heat related illnesses, as we had our first kind of heat index, high heat work days last week. So we're excited to have Beth Schiller from Champlain Medical, as everybody hopefully knows. She's one of our partners here at ECI that we rely on her expertise and specialists, especially in the medical world, to help us make good decisions out there in the field. So Beth, thank you for starting your day with us.
Yeah, no problem. So, first of all, I just want to thank all of you guys. I was just speaking with Matt that there's 96 people in the wellness program, and I want to commend you on that. And I hear there's some great stuff going on. And if there's anything that we can do at Champlain Medical to help you with whatever your goals are, please feel free to come in and happy to work with you on moving towards those goals and staying on those goals even after the side-by-side is presented to some lucky person. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about summer heat and the effects of being on the job, out, laying asphalt, concrete, all those jobs that it's most of the time you can't get out of the heat. And like Matt said, last week was sort of a reminder of things to come. So just wanted to go over that a little bit with you guys and give you some signs and symptoms, some warning signs, and what we're going to do. So anyways, in terms of the agenda, it's really quick. Just basically how our bodies manage heat and humidity, give you a little background that way. How symptoms can crop up when you're not taking good care of your body, what heat exhaustion is going to look like, and what you should do. And hopefully, no one ever gets to heat stroke. Heat stroke is when heat exhaustion goes sideways. And hopefully, we never get there. Hopefully, we take care of each other and prevent that from happening. So, anyways, so how do we manage heat and humidity? So in our brain, we've got a thermostat, shall we say. And the goal there is to keep our temperature at 98.6. You've probably heard that fever, no fever. 98.6 is sort of where we want to keep things. And then you've got a whole bunch of layers of skin. And the middle layer is the one that stores the water so that when your body's too hot, what happens is you sweat, right? And water comes out, and also those body salts that come out. So to give you an idea, Matt and I were just talking about if you can wear a long sleeve cotton shirt versus a short sleeve, you're protecting your skin, which is also going to help in terms of regulation of your internal body temperature. So despite the fact that you feel like, oh man, I don't want to wear a long sleeve, it actually, a lightweight cotton long sleeve could benefit you in terms of keeping your body temperature where it needs to be. Go ahead, Matt. Okay, let's talk a little bit about heat exhaustion. Okay, what does it look like? And hopefully, again, hopefully you never get to this point. But if you do, or if you see your fellow employee, complaining of dizziness, headache, feeling weak, they've got some nausea, they've got muscle cramps, feeling super thirsty, and it's hard to show that somebody's excessively sweating when it's 100 degrees with the heat index, but it gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. Hopefully, before you get to this point, you will have figured out how to deal with how to manage these types of things before they get bad. And if you go to the next slide. Okay, what do we want to do to keep from getting heat exhaustion? We want to drink fluids with electrolytes. Remember, when you're sweating, it's not just the water, it's also the salts from within your body. So those electrolytes are what's going to help bring you back to ground zero. And what you drink in a day when it's 80 degrees versus 95 degrees, I would say you probably need to add 50% more to how much you drink. Okay. Um, and you don't, chugging is not the best idea. Drinking throughout the day, hourly, is probably better than chugging a half a gallon at one time, because that actually could bring up some nausea and make you throw up. Wearing lightweight, breathable long sleeves, wearing lightweight, breathable pants, right? Protecting your face and your neck. Um, and and just like drinking throughout the day, instead of having a large lunch where all your blood goes down into your gut, if you can figure out a way to do small, numerous snacks throughout the day, you'll keep your body energized and you won't have that slump after lunch. Okay. So that's the big thing. So if you do develop any of the symptoms we just talked about, uh, getting into shade or AC, I'm guessing that you don't always have AC as an option, but just getting under a tree. Um, you might want to take your Yeti, somebody, if you know it's going to be, the heat index is going to be 95 degrees or worse. You might want to bring one of your Yeti coolers, fill it with ice water, throw some towels in it. And so if something happens, you can grab one of those cool, wet towels and apply it to your chest, your back, and your head. Lying down and putting your feet up higher than your heart brings all the blood back to your core. And by doing that, you're allowing your body to cool down and work better that way. And again, we're going to sip fluids, don't chug, um, because at that point, you're probably pretty close to getting sick. And also stay away from caffeinated stuff. So again, the electrolytes, um, and just small sips and getting yourself into shade and cooling your body. Okay, this is the one hopefully we never see. If if things go sideways with that heat exhaustion, or you don't take action, this is when you can end up with heat stroke. And heat stroke is a 911, and I'm not kidding. Um, you'll find that you have altered mental state or confusion, and that's well beyond your norm. Okay. You might lose consciousness. You might be throwing up or can't keep liquids down. You're no longer sweating. Your skin is just hot and dry. And your heart rate, it's going to feel like it's coming out of your heart. It's just beating really fast. So, whatever you do, think about if you're getting into those signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion, take them seriously. If you see them in your fellow worker, take them aside. Don't be a hero. No, working in those hot conditions is really tough to begin with, and you're doing a lot of heavy lifting and serious work. So take those symptoms seriously and make sure that you take care of yourself. And I think that's all I have for you. Is there any
Yeah.
questions?
Well, I think, we've hit this topic pretty much every year because it's important, and there has been back and forth about if OSHA and also VOSHA is going to set up a regulation because of how many, you know, heat stroke in construction there is throughout the United States. It seems like it's more of a southern thing than the northern states, so it probably won't become a regulation, but it's possible. So that's why we really want to put the awareness and the education where it needs to be. So hopefully no one pushes themselves so far to get into that heat stroke, because it's very
Yeah,
serious,
no.
like you said.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah. So pay attention to
all
the weather,
right.
everybody. Yep. Pay attention to the weather. And when it gets to that 95 heat index, that's just making sure that you're following those best practices that Beth just shared with us, because it could save a life.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Beth, thank you for your time. You can definitely stay on and watch the rest of our presentation this morning.
Okay.
All right, I gotta stop sharing that real quick and share my screen here. Can everybody see the email of the week?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so this week's code of conduct for us is strive to restraint, discretion, and integrity. Definitely, it's a great equation for conflict resolution, or when you need to have some of those difficult conversations or when things start to get a little sideways. How to restrain oneself, try to think ahead, because your words matter, and you can kind of work through good conflict resolution through this kind of code item. And I know it's Ben Dowd's favorite one, so feel free to shoot him a text this week. Talk about how you're working on code item 11, strive for restraint, discretion, and integrity. This week, we do have another corporate announcement. This one's really good news, so awesome. So we are pleased to announce that the 2025 401k profit sharing contributions have been added to all qualifying employee accounts. The 2025 amount deposit was 2.5 of your eligible compensation. You will see details by logging into a census. If you have any questions regarding the profit sharing or your retirement account in general, please contact Veronica Bowles regarding profit sharing or your retirement account in general. Oh, I just repeated that. I am sorry. Or Aaron Markle. Phone numbers and emails are here. So awesome. I know that got announced, I believe, at the kickoff back in April. So it's great to see that finally happening. So excellent news for all qualifying employees. Ben McKinney, you want to talk about some 3-yarders and 5-yard trucks with us today for our equipment
Yeah,
focus?
sure thing, Matt. Okay, guys. So 3-yard and 5-yard trucks. We all use them. We've got a lot of them. They're a really important tool for the toolbox, especially for smaller volume, limited access work, cleanup. They're a shared asset without an assigned driver. But we've had a lot of issues with them, a lot of unnecessary wear and tear, and more than just wear and tear, damage and misuse. So we wanted to focus on these today and kind of give some parameters for the proper use of the asset. So when we say a 3-yard truck, we're talking an F550 or 5500 size truck, 19,500 GVW. So these are glorified pickups. These are a lot like a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton. Same engine in most cases, similar transmission, slightly heavier suspension, chassis components, typically 4-wheel drive. But these are really just a heavy pickup truck. 5-yarders, on the other hand, are a lot more like a big truck. These are typically International MV, Freightliner M2 single axle truck with a little bit higher GVWR. Ours are all about 26,000, so just a pound under CDL. So these are under CDL trucks. These are built more like a truck. They've got air brakes, 2-wheel drive. So the GVW is not real high on them, but they are built a little heavier. But because of these low GVWs, we don't put real heavy bodies on these. These don't have the thick steel and the heavy structures that our triaxle and tandems have. They're a lot lighter. We've had a lot of issues with body damage on them, which is part of the reason why we wanted to focus on them this week. So the use of these trucks, always coordinate the use with Brian Harrington or Ken Furno. If one is in the yard unloaded with the keys in it, that means it's probably available for use, but check with those guys before you take it. It's good for us to keep track of where they are. So then when someone like you calls looking for one, we can help coordinate that. And when you're done with it, please return it. These are handy. They're handy to have, but if you don't need it and you're kind of using it as a crew truck, please don't do that. We very likely can hook you up with a pickup, so these can be freed up for guys that actually need a little dump truck. These trucks should not be dug out of with an excavator. The floors, the headboards, the tailgates, they're all very lightweight. Digging out of them with an excavator is, I would say, probably the number one cause of damage. Even some of these newer trucks that we've recently acquired, we've got some nice new 5-yarders in the fleet. Some of these have seen a lot of damage in a short period of time, likely from digging out of them. If you're in a situation where you feel like you have no alternative, talk to your supervisor, field ops manager, project manager before you plan to dig out of it. That's kind of our last resort. We'd much rather use a big truck, a stone box, almost anything else. If you rule out all other ideas and you align with your team and you decide that you've got to dig out of one of these, we should not be using a big excavator. Always a cleanup bucket, and it really should be on a 75 size machine. You know, if you're going up into that 130 range, it's really something we'd want to have a conversation with. A 130 has the ability, even a 75, but a 130 has the ability to just really stave in that headboard and bend that tailgate without a lot of effort. You know, when we weaken those tailgate hinges, that's a safety issue. Those things are heavy and when they swing down. So besides just having to fix it and damaging the asset, when we compromise those tailgates, that creates a big safety problem for us. These trucks are easily overloaded. These bodies can physically hold more than the truck can safely hold. So if you're using an excavator to bail into it, to load it versus a bucket loader, you probably have the ability to get real efficient with it and fill all those corners and mount it up real high, put as much in it as it'll take without spilling over the sides. That's probably going to put you overweight if you do that on one of these trucks, especially if it's got sideboards. You can always run over to Pike and go across the scales and see what you weigh in at. But especially with heavy soils, be careful not to overload them. These trucks are great for towing. That's a great use for them if you have a real heavy load and maybe you don't have any heavy crew trucks. Maybe your biggest crew truck's a 3/4 ton and it's already laden with tools and a transfer tank. 3-yarder is a good thing to tow with. Just don't tow with them when they're loaded with aggregate because you'll also likely be over. And then as far as cleanliness, these 3- and 5-yard trucks are notorious at ECI for having messy cabs. I think we've all gone to grab one and found it full of ratchet straps and LOD tape and soil still caked to the back or maybe half loaded and Red Bull cans and water bottles and somebody's raincoat. And you know, it's probably somewhat not inevitable, but we can see why it happens. They don't have a back seat. In most cases, they don't have any or at least very many toolboxes. And they're a shared asset and they're often driven by our younger employees. So it's not shocking that this happens, but this is not what we want to happen. So when we return one, we want to make sure the cab's free of trash, your tools, pieces and parts from your project have all been removed and put back, and that the body's free of residual aggregate or material. You can hose it out if it's got topsoil stuck to the side. And we really like, just like with any crew truck or shared asset, we'd like to wipe down the cabs, hit it with a whisk broom or a vacuum from time to time. ECI is absolutely happy to pay overtime to employees that want to take care of our stuff and clean out the cabs. You can consider that a good investment. So when you return them, clean them up. And if you get one that's absolutely nasty, tell Brian or Ken, we can circle back with the last people to use it. Maintenance. We've seen a lot of neglect in the maintenance department, especially grease. So like most trucks, these vehicles have grease fittings on the chassis for driveline and suspension components. Typically, we're hitting those during normal preventative maintenance in the shop. But on the body itself, for tailgate hinges and pivot points and that dump cylinder linkage on both the top and the bottom, there's grease fittings there. So these should be greased. We should be greasing these just like we grease other equipment. You know, and if you have one on your job site long term, it's a good idea to crawl underneath and hit those chassis fittings too. As with every piece of equipment, check oil and fluid levels daily. We recommend that, just like any other piece of equipment, you complete a DOT style pre-trip on these. You know, these are, especially the 5-yarders, these are big trucks, and it's good to treat them like that. We've got a Fleetio inspection sheet to assist you with that. Walk around them, make sure they work. Make sure there's no damage. If there is, report it, get it addressed before you use it. Like all modern diesels, almost all of our trucks are equipped with complex emission systems, and for that reason, they should not idle unnecessarily. Idling them unnecessarily, besides wasting fuel, just besides running up unnecessary wear and depreciating the asset, it loads up that emission system with soot, and that leads to costly repairs down the road and regen issues. Just like anything else, report issues to the service team, make a phone call, use the Fleetio app. Lights on the dash, overheating, oil consumption, emissions issues, body damage. We should report all of that. Some of these trucks are old. Some of these trucks do have issues. Some of these trucks do have lights on the dash and that we know about. But report it anyway. You know, if you got an issue, it's possible we know about it and we're good with it and it's safe to use, but report it anyway. Assume if you see damage, assume we don't know about it or the guys in the shop don't know about it. Safety. The 3-yarders typically have a 2-way tailgate, so it can swing open like a big truck, or you can open it top down like a pickup. If you're opening it top down like a pickup truck, use those safety chains. Those are very heavy, and once they kind of get over that you know, I don't know, 30-degree angle, they're going to get real heavy and be hard for one guy to control. So that you could really hurt your hands. You could get smacked. At the very least, they're going to smack the pintle plate and dent themselves. So make sure those safety chains are in place. All these trucks have front and rear facing cameras. It is prohibited to block or disable these. As a reminder, for these and all our cameras, these do not record sound. We have no ability to hear what you're saying or to go back and hear what you're saying, but they do record video. The point of having these cameras is to protect the company and you from liability in the event of an accident, especially when you're not at fault. However, if you're on your phone texting, driving without a seatbelt, you probably get a phone call. Visibility. Visibility of these trucks is generally poor. So just remember when you're backing, remember the goal, GOAL, get out and look. As far as operation, new employees do need a briefing on these trucks. It seems simple, but remember, a lot of our new employees have never been in a dump truck, have never been in anything with a PTO. They may not know how to engage it, or more importantly, disengage the PTO when they're done using the dump body. And, you know, even an electric over hydraulic setup, we should walk them through the controls, how they work, the tailgate, the tarp, air brakes in the case of a 5-yarder. So please don't just assume that the new guy knows how to operate a dump truck safely. And then legal and regulatory. If you tow any trailer over 9999 with these trucks, any 10,000 pound plus trailer with these trucks, you will be in CDL Class A territory. So most of our quarry trailers are, you know, factory D-rated to 9999, but our tilt beds, some of our heavier tool trailers, those trucks will put you into CDL Class A territory. All these trucks are numbered with DOT numbers. So if you do see interstate DMV checkpoint, you are required to pull in. Check with Ken Furno before you go out of state. Not only will you need a medical card, but you'll need to verify that the truck has a fire extinguisher and its safety triangles. There's also some registration and fuel tax stuff that goes along with that, especially in New York and I think Mass too. Only a couple of these trucks are legal to run in New York and Mass. So before you take them out of state, check with Ken. That's what I got.
And just to point out as well, you have to be 21 in order to do that.
Just commercial vehicle over state lines, Tom?
Yep.
I didn't know that. I knew that was the case with CDLs. I didn't know that with the 10,000 pound commercial vehicle. So that's good to know.
Yeah, very informative, a lot there. So great that we have it in digital form. We can go back to and relook at this stuff. Sure, there's a lot of follow-up questions, so reach out to Ben, Ken, and Brian, and really anybody else, and we can help you answer those questions regarding the three yards and the 5-yarders. Let's try to do our best to prevent the damage and not get any silly violations because of it. All right, we have a laundry list of new employees, which is awesome. So let's introduce Colton King. He joined the paving, milling, and grading crew. Welcome, Colton. Hopefully you had a first great week. Keep up the good work out there. We have Hank Williams joining concrete. Chase Shalta, concrete. That's his Troy's son. So we got another father-son combination, which is always awesome to see. Out there on the concrete side, we got Tanner English, relative of the Piper family. So another family new hire, which is awesome to see. As we want to be very family oriented here at ACI. So that's awesome. Welcome, Tanner. Hopefully you had a great first week. And then Oliver Wilcox. He's also joining Silval. Welcome, Oliver. And then last, save the best for last here. Kyle, really excited to join ECI. This is up in Milton Hourglass, joining the Silval team. So welcome, Kyle. Thank you for having fun with your photo, new hire photo with us. We have a quick ECI special event that happened, I think last week on Saturday. So congratulations to Jeremy and Jasmine. Jeremy got married. So if you see Jeremy over at the Sandbar Valco substation, you can just give him a little pat on the back. Congratulations. Sharing some kind of fun photos of him and his better half now, his wife Jasmine. So congratulations, Jeremy. Maybe we'll have an ACI baby on the way. Awesome photos. And then just wrapping up here, Brad Peisker, you out there?
I am here, Matt.
You want to drive, or do you want me to just kind of keep scrolling?
I'll let you drive it.
Okay.
All right. So this project is Wallingford GMRC 31. So we were contracted with VTrans through an IDIQ project to replace 5 cracked stringers on GMRC Bridge 145. This is a bridge we have worked on in the past, both for the VTR and VTrans for strengthening and rehabilitation work. The base scope included replacing 5 stringer beams, rivet replacement, and bridge timber replacement. After installing the staging, VTrans found additional cracked components and clip angles to replace. They added a couple change orders to the scope. So the first picture is just from the contract plans showing where the repair locations were throughout the bridge. So unlike last year, these were all scattered across the bridge. And then it's just a Google Maps showing where the bridge is, over 103 and the Mill River, very high bridge. So each work location required the crew to install staging for work access and to panelize the track to allow for steel replacement. ECI used aluminum picks set perpendicular to the track on the top chord of the trusses and wood planks across the picks to provide a fully decked work area. A horizontal lifeline was installed in work locations to provide a 100% tie-off location, since the bridge is at least 60 feet over the road or the river. All the work was performed during normal train traffic and took advantage of work days without trains to complete the repairs. This meant removing rail and timbers the night before we planned to replace a stringer. Next photo is showing a work location where we had 2 short stringers at 8'6". So a lot of work in a very congested area, but we had a combined crew of bridge guys and the rail crew there to help us. You can see our lifelines and rail sliders for tie-off points here. The replacement of the two 8'6" stringers proved more work than replacing a single 25-foot stringer. This was due partly to the change order work to install new clip angles and diaphragms, all requiring precise field layout and match marking to match existing bolt holes. The change order scope was a replacement of cracked diaphragm and clip angles in bad conditions. So the next photo shows the condition of existing angles that they want to replace due to extra holes, mislocated holes. And that's all due to how they constructed this bridge back in the Depression era. They kind of took parts from other bridges and put this one together, at least in the top structure portion. So they wanted to clean up some of those connections and bring them up to code. And that's just a general photo of a new assembly there with new bolts and our direct tension indicating washers to prove that we have the required tension in the bolts. And that's the example of the cracked diaphragm. Massive crack right through almost the entire plate. And that connects the stringers to the floor beams, providing a fixation and keeping everything in place as the trains roll over. After all the steel repairs were made, the crew installed 50% new bridge timbers in 4 locations and 100% new bridge timbers at 1 location. And then everything got new guard timbers, which hold the bridge timbers in place and nice and square to the track with the proper spacing. And here the guys are pulling out the staging after we've completed everything in that area, using the log truck and a single lane closure below on the road to prevent anything from hitting the traveling public.
You know, you gotta love working on heights to do this job.
Yes. And that's the bay that we replaced all this bridge timbers at. There was a bunch of other small components in that spot that gave some difficulties, but we got through them all, and hopefully that bridge lasts a little bit longer, but we know there's more crack members out there.
Yeah. It's a cool photo. And then from the archives, we got 2023 when we were there just a couple years ago.
Yep, that was for the VTR, and we were working on the diagonal braces from the bottom cord to top cord, along with the old Peterbilt log truck.
And that was try to get more weight on that bridge. Is that right? Put more freight on it.
Yeah, a strengthening project for some of the lacing members.
So it's always fun to kind of get a job and then continue to throughout the phase of the project to get another award, because it just shows the good quality work that we're doing. And we're just getting more and more work at these locations. So excellent job by the steel team, bridge team, rail guys. Good job. Very successful job. Very high risk. We didn't have any safety violations or incidents. So good job to Brad and crew.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, it's 7:05, a little long, so I apologize on that. We'll do better next time. But if you're watching a group setting, please send over attendance so we can capture that. But let's have a great day. Let's work together. Let's stay safe. Let's drive safe. Let's be great today.
See you guys.